yogis. Thank you so much for joining me and this big kitty for some yoga for knees tonight. We're going to be working on stretching and strengthening the muscles that surround our knees so that they can function properly, so they can track and glide nicely. If you happen to have arthritis, osteo, this is going to be quite helpful because what it's doing is training your knee to move in the proper way. Thank you, you are very beautiful. And you just move into these poses with the idea that you are not supposed to feel pain. It's totally fine if you stop doing things. I know you love me, but please stop biting me. And it is totally fine if you move away from pain, like not letting cats bite you out of desire for pets. This is not a class that's meant to be super intense in terms of vinyasas and flows, but you will feel some heat and some intensity with some of the things that we do. We're going to build a bit of musculature in our thighs and our calves. We are going to start off lying down, so go ahead and come onto your mat. And as you come down to the floor, you can have your knees in if that feels better for your lower back. You can extend your legs out long. And first you just want to relax for a few breaths. Yes, you're the most beautiful kitty in the world. It's right about the time that the cats start asking for supper, so this is not just true affection, this is I hope you feed me affection. Now, as you lie on your back, if you have a little pet who wants to give you some cuddles, you could bring them into play, but you don't need to. And you want to just let go of whatever has been happening today. For instance, this handsome man got pecked on the nose by a duckling. It was very traumatizing, and he had to run away very quickly. So he's going to let all of that go. Anything that happened before this point in time. So think about letting go of anything that might happen. The couldas, the wouldas, the shouldas, the maybes, the perhapses. Let all of those go. And when you can let go of what came before, you can let go of what might come, you can focus on what is happening right now. This is really important for our class this evening because we want to be quite focused on what is happening in our bodies. We want to pay a lot of attention to how these movements feel so that we can practice safely and effectively. Take a moment to bring your awareness to your body. How does it feel tonight? There is nothing that you notice that is wrong. If there is tension or achiness or tiredness, this is all just information. If there's twitchiness, anticipation, you're just tuning in to what is happening with you at this moment. Another nice deep breath in. Big sigh out. And then begin to draw your right knee in towards your chest. And you can keep your left leg extended, or you can tent your left knee, see what feels better in your hips and your lower back. And just give this right knee a big hug in. Feel the gentle compression against your belly. And then loosen the pressure of that knee and start to just draw some circles. I'm holding my shin, but you could equally well be holding your thigh. Maybe a few circles in the other direction. And from here, go ahead and extend your right leg up to the ceiling. You can be holding behind the thigh or behind the calf if that feels good. Just a gentle pull of the leg in towards you so you start to feel the back of your thigh. We're going to do a bit of work into our hamstrings today. For those of us that practice a lot of yoga, we often work on the flexibility of our hamstrings, but it's equally important, especially for knee health, to work on the strength of the hamstrings. So we'll work a little bit on both. Take a moment to notice how this feels, where you feel the stretch. Perhaps notice where your leg comes to feel that stretch. Remember, it's not important if the leg is straight or the knee is bent. You just want to feel the back of the thigh. Go ahead and release the right foot to the mat. You can slide the leg long if you want. Same thing on the left, hug the knee to the chest. Give it a big, tight hug. You want to compress your abdominal cavity so it feels like you have a very large kitty sitting back on your stomach. And then relax. And draw a couple of circles in one direction. And a couple of circles in the other direction. Range of motion is really very much up to you. Mine is moderate. Just feels like a little bit of opening in the knee and the hip. Extend the left leg up, catch behind the thigh or the calf, little stretch. And again, the idea is not the most intense sensation. The idea is to pay attention to the sensation, to notice where the sensation sits. Does the stretch sit at the belly of the muscle, kind of the midpoint? Does it sit behind the knee or in the butt? And does the stretch change if you bend the knee or straighten the leg? It's just an exploration. Inhale here, and then exhale, release. Bring your left foot to the floor, slide your right foot in. If you brought it long, take your feet a little wider than your hips and sway your knees a little back and forth, loosening up the outsides of the hips a little bit. Eventually, you can roll yourself all the way to one side. Use your hands to press yourself up. You're going to bring the soles of your feet together for a Baddha Konasana or a butterfly-shaped pose. And it's really important here that you don't feel any discomfort in your knees. So you want to sit far enough away from your heels that your knees feel comfortable. Absolutely support your knees if it feels uncomfortable to sit with them here. You can put little pillows or blocks or books underneath anything. But you want to make sure that this area feels good. Place your hands down, lift the center of your chest as you inhale. And as you exhale, fold a little bit forward. You could hold your feet. You could place your hands on a prop. You could crawl your fingertips out forward if that feels good. Let your chin come a little bit towards your chest so the back of your neck is long. And again, notice where you feel this. Isn't a wrong answer. It could be the lower back, the inner thighs, the outer hips. The only thing you don't want to feel is pain. That is a signal from your body to back off. Let's take the smoke detector in the house. There might not be a fire yet, but it's a warning. just a few inches and walk your fingertips over towards the right. It doesn't have to be very far, just so you start to feel a stretch on the left side of the body. If it feels good, you can go around and frame your right knee with your fingertips. Relax forward a little bit here. And go over to the other side for a breath or two. Notice if one side is considerably tighter than the other today. And then go ahead and come to the center line. Gather your knees in. And then go ahead and swing your legs behind you and make your way up to standing. And as you come to standing, you can just come up to the front of your mat. Spread your toes nice and wide. And imagine that you are dropping a plumb line from the crown of your head down to the floor. And if you were to look at this plumb line sideways, like you're looking at me in the video, you want it to touch through your earlobe, through your hip, all the way down to your ankle. And it's not that your knees need to be straight and locked, because if you notice when I straighten and lock, my knees kind of stick my tailbone, my butt is out behind me like a little duck. Don't want that. That's hyperextension. You're locking things. You're not going to find any comfort in your knees this way. What you want to imagine is that plumb line is falling straight down through the hip, which means you have to relax your knees a little bit. You have to let your tailbone sink towards the floor. If you're looking at that line from the center, it would go from the crown of the head all the way down the midline of the body and touch the floor. See if you can imagine finding that balance. Take a few deep breaths here. If you find your mind wandering, just remember, focus on this moment. Not the present, or excuse me, not the past, not the future, but the present. That's where we want to be. When you're ready, inhale, bring your arms up over your head. As you exhale, press the palms of the hands together, stick your buns now out behind you as you fold forward, forearms to come to thigh, hands to shins, or fingertips to the floor. And you're just gonna dangle here for a few breaths. Keep the knees soft. Now you can stick your tailbone and wiggle it like a little duck out behind you. Move a little bit. Then start to connect with your feet. See if you can press all 10 of your toes into the floor, but imagine lifting the arch of your foot away from the mat. You might even feel your calves get a little bit active there. As you inhale, you can press your fingertips to the floor. You can absolutely use a block here or a prop underneath your hands. Find a little bit of a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, fold a little forward. Take your feet a little bit wider than your own hips. Point your left hand underneath your nose. Keep your knees soft and twist to your right. Right hand could come to the hip, or right arm could come up to the sky. And you can straighten your legs here, but just notice what happens. Are you hyperextending? Do you feel primarily behind the kneecap? If that's the case, a little bit of softness in the knees can be quite beneficial. Fold towards the floor, plant the left hand underneath the nose, the right hand underneath the nose, twist to the left. So you're going the opposite direction. Shrug your shoulders back. Reach the crown of your head forward. Exhale, fold towards the floor. As you inhale, pick up a halfway lift. You can slide your hands up to your thighs or your shins. As you exhale, fold. If it feels more comfortable, you can bring your feet close together, or you can come up with the feet wide as you inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. We're going to do a standing quad stretch before we start our sun salutations. I'm just going to turn to face the camera, but you can stay facing any direction. If you feel like you have a little bit of the wobbles today, feel free to practice with your hand against a wall. You don't want to practice with your back against a wall, and you'll see why in just a second. Take a look down at your feet. Lift the toes of your left foot. Notice what happens when you lift the toes of your left foot. What happens is your calf muscles start to activate because they're helping that lift to happen. Then your kneecap maybe lifts up a little bit. Your quadriceps, your thigh muscles start to engage. You feel that standing leg, and you want to keep feeling that standing leg as you place your big toe on the mat. And if there are any other toes still lifted, see if you can place your little toe on the mat. And if there are any toes still lifted, let all of those toes go down to the mat. peel your right heel away from the floor. Keep your left leg sturdy and strong. Keep lifting through the arch of the foot, just like you did when you lifted the toes. And then maybe you can take the right foot behind you. You can hold the foot here and just gently pull the foot towards the bottom, finding a little stretch at the head of the knee. Feel free to use a wall here. Keep lifting through the arch of the foot. It's not just about this leg that we're stretching, it's also about the standing leg. When you keep the muscles engaged, you hug the muscles inwards towards the bones, you keep the joints a little safer, a little more happy. When you're ready, you can switch sides. The right foot comes to the floor. Feel free to shake things out if you need to. And then lift all of the toes of your right foot. Feel the activation. Take a moment to actually tune into what's happening. Don't just do it and then drop the toes. If you're not paying attention, muscles are kind of, like teenagers. They're going to slack off a little bit. Drop your big toe. Drop your baby toe. If there are any still lifted, go ahead and drop them down. Keep that standing leg active. Lift the right heel. And maybe you can lift the left heel. Clearly it's one of those days. The opposite side from the one that you just did, and you hug the foot towards the buns. And it doesn't matter how far it comes. If you can't hold the foot with a hand, you can take a strap over the top of the foot and hold on to that instead. Totally fine. And if you wobble, just come back to that strength. Lift up through the arch of your foot. Take a few breaths. And just notice how it feels. I've done a couple of quad stretches today, so this doesn't feel very intense at the head of the thigh, but what I really feel is my standing leg working. You might be the same or different. Go ahead and release your foot as you're ready. Again, shake things out if you need to. And then come back if you moved away to the front of your mat. Spread your toes wide. Find that imaginary plumb line from the crown of the head, through the earlobe, through the shoulder, through the hip, through the ankle. And then inhale, lift your arms up overhead. Press the palms of your hands together, and as you exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, find your halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands under your shoulders and step or hop or walk to the back of the mat. Find your downward facing dog, or you can take your knees to the floor for table pose. As you find your downward facing dog, spread your fingers now nice and wide. Keep your heels a little bit lifted, lift your hips. Take a few breaths here. Feel free to pedal your feet. As you inhale, now come forward to your plank. As you exhale, you can keep your knees up or you can drop your knees to the floor, lower all the way to the mat. Untuck your toes as you inhale. Lift the center of your chest. Find a little bit of your cobra pose. As you exhale, lower your nose to the floor. Adjust your hands as needed. And then inhale, lift to get to that cobra pose. Press the tops of your feet down firmly. You might even feel your kneecaps lift away from the floor as your quadriceps firm. Exhale to release. Keep pressing the tops of the feet down. Inhale, lift. What you're trying to do is activate the fronts of your thighs and relax your butt. Exhale to release. Press back, table pose, or downward facing dog. Take a deep breath, get comfortable here. And then as you inhale, float your right foot up to the sky. Step your right foot up towards your right thumb. If the foot doesn't make it, go ahead and assist it in any way necessary. Here you're going to walk your hands to the inside of the front foot and start to lower your left hip a little bit towards the floor. If this feels really tight and congested, you can absolutely take your right foot a little bit wider and then lower down. I like to have my hands on the floor, but you can have your hands on a prop here. You just want to start to feel the front of your left thigh. For some people, it feels better to lower the back knee down and feel that hip flexor stretch. Take a few deep breaths here. Knee lifted or knee lowered, your choice. Shrug your shoulders back. From here, press down into your hands, lift your hips, lift your back knee if it's down, turn your left foot to face the long edge of the mat, walk your fingertips to the long edge of the mat, turn your right foot to face the long edge of the mat. If your heels end up on a diagonal, step them into a line with one another and find your wide-legged forward fold. Little stretch, again, for your hamstrings. The knees could be a bit soft here, totally fine. See what feels good for your body. When you're ready, press your fingertips to the floor. You can also use a prop here. Lift up about halfway. Shrug your shoulders back. Now, you can come all the way to standing here. You can always bring your feet closer together if that feels more comfortable. Lift up through the arches of your feet. Walk the hands on the thighs or bring the hands to the lower back. And inhale, come all the way up to standing. As you exhale, you're going to turn your right foot to face towards the short edge of the mat. And then you're going to turn your left foot to face towards the long edge of the mat if it's not already there. Both of your legs at this point are relatively straight. And then what you want to think about is the heel of your front foot lining up with the arch of your back foot. So you have this kind of T shape with your feet here. I don't know if you can see that over my shoulder. When you have that T shape, bend your right knee. You want to stack your right knee right over your right ankle for warrior two. Again, imagine your plumb line. It's going right from the crown of your head, through your earlobe, through your shoulder, now down through your center, your core to the floor, and it's straight. That means, again, there's a little bit of relaxation. Notice how your knee feels here. And then see if you can lift your toes away from the floor. Notice any difference? What happens when you lift the toes is, again, you activate the calf. You might even notice dropping the toes and then lifting the toes. Oh yeah, you can feel my calf muscles working. As your calf muscles start to work, your kneecap can track properly. You don't want your knee to be leaning far outwards. If you're feeling a lot of pressure on the outside edge of your foot, it's probably happening. You don't want your knee to be far inwards, collapsing into the arch of the foot. When you lift the toes, it presses the balls of the feet down, presses the heel of the foot down, and allows that knee to sit at the center. Open your arms out to the sides as you inhale. As you exhale, soften a little bit. Inhale, now go ahead and straighten your right knee. And then exhale, rebend it, stacking it over the ankle. Take a peek at it. Make sure it's moving in a nice straight line as you bend and straighten. If you can't, keep your toes lifted. If you can't, you can let that go. You can always bring it back. But it does help to keep that calf really nice and active. You want your back leg to be quite straight. You're pressing into the outer edge of that back foot. Try one more like this. And then straighten that right leg again. Turn the toes to the long edge of the mat and fold forward. Take a moment to release. As you do this, feel free to readjust the angle of your feet so that it feels good in your ankles, your knees, and your hips. Notice how your right leg feels in comparison to your left leg. If there's any fatigue, any tenderness. And then we're going to do the left side. So when you're ready, you're going to come all the way back up. Shrug your shoulders back. You can always bring the feet in if you need a little more support. Lift the arches of the feet and come all the way to standing. Left foot turns to face the short edge of the mat. Right foot faces the long edge of the mat. If your heel and your arch are not quite lined up, take a moment to adjust. Both legs start straight. And then you bend the left knee. And as you bend that left knee again, you want to stack the knee over the ankle. And then you want to think, is the knee tracking kind of over the middle of the three toes? And it's not that your knee is like over your three toes up and down. Is it over your three toes in a line parallel to the long edge of your mat? And then you can lift the toes and see if that helps. Also notice when you lift the toes, the leg muscles start working a heck of a lot harder. Maybe you can bring your arms out to the sides. Press into the outside edge of your back foot. Inhale, straighten that leg. Exhale, bend the knee. And it's not how many you do. It's how aware of you, of what you are doing, are you. Are you feeling all the muscles in your calf, your thigh. Are you noticing that your toes are getting tired? Maybe you have one more. Straighten that front leg. Turn the toes to the long edge of the mat and fold forward. Take a nice deep, full breath here. Adjust the feet as needed. Let go. And then press the fingertips to the floor. Heel toe your feet in until they're about hip-ish distance apart. Exhale. And as you inhale, roll yourself all the way up to the sky. You can stay facing, but I'm going to turn around so you can see me. We're going to do some hamstring activators now. So notice how you feel. You might notice difference between right and left, and honor that. Be gentle with yourself. What you're going to do is, again, find a little bit of balance. If you want to come practice against the wall, I recommend standing. We're going to start on the right side with your left hand against the wall. Bring your weight to your left foot. Lift your left toes. Feel that activation. Feel that lift. Big toe down. Little toe down. All of these other toes down. Peel your right heel up. And then suck your left hip in. Now bring your left hand onto your back. You want to put the back of the hand onto the back, and you want your pinky finger to be kind of right at the top of your tailbone, and the rest of your hand, your thumb, is kind of going up into your lower back. And you want to keep that alignment as you do this. And I said to put your left hand against the wall, but you should have put your right hand against the wall, so you can always switch sides. Now, see if you can float your right toes away from the floor. And you just want to imagine that you're stepping onto the teeniest, tiniest step that's right beside you on the right. So all you're doing is this. You already are probably noticing a lot of activation in your leg. Maybe you stay here for a moment. Maybe you feel ready and you start to bend forward, hinge at your hips, and fold. And you can go as far as you can go without your hands separating from your back. See if you can keep your right foot as close as you can to your left foot. And then inhale, come back up. It's totally okay if your right toes have to be on the floor as you do this. Even with the toes on the floor, you're going to start to really feel the back of your left leg. If you can, do 3 more. Again, it's not how many you do. It's not if you do them quickly and you fit in 10 instead of 5. It's, are you paying attention? Because the more you pay attention, the harder it gets. You'll really start to feel the back of the thigh. Keep lifting through the arch of your standing foot. And then here you're going to fold one more time, and maybe you can hold. And we'll see if we can hold for about 10 seconds. Lift your belly. You can stick your tailbone a little further out behind you. You really feel the back of that standing leg. And then inhale, come back up. Set the right foot down, and oh, sweet relief, shake everything out. Take a moment, stand with both feet on the floor. Hopefully now you notice a difference between the left side and the right side. And then find the weight coming to your right foot. Lift the toes. Feel the kneecap activate. Big toe down. Baby toe down. All of those other toes. Lift the left heel. Bring your right hand onto your lower back. You want to be placing, again, the pinky just right about top of the tailbone. The thumb kind of goes onto the lower back a little bit. And you want to keep that alignment as you fold. See if you can float your left foot. It's really important here that you're not collapsing inwards with your knee. So the arch of that right foot is staying lifted. If you need to put your left toes on the floor and realign yourself, don't hesitate to do so. Remember, it's quality over quantity. Maybe you stay here for a moment. Maybe you're ready to fold. You can hinge at your hips. It's fine to have quite a bit of softness in your standing knee. It does not need to be locked. What you want to think about, rather than locking the joint, because what we do when we lock the joint often is we just kind of dump all of the weight of our body and all the weight of this balance into the joint and stress it. You want the muscles to support the joint. The muscles are hugging in towards the bone. You start to really feel the right hamstrings working. Maybe you've got another couple left in you. See how it goes. You may notice that one side is a heck of a lot harder than the other side. Whew. And then on this last one, we're gonna hold. And you're gonna keep lifting the arch of your left foot. Keep your toes spread wide. Remember, there's pain, please take a break. This will be, however, quite intense in your hamstrings. Stick your buns out, feel the back of your right thigh. And then inhale, come back up. Place that left foot down and go, oh, thank goodness. All done with those. Shake everything out. And then walk yourself up to the front of your mat if you came anywhere else. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Find your plumb line. Find that tall posture. Lift the arches of your feet. Even here, you want that light engagement in your calves and your thighs, holding the knees. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. As you exhale, fold. Inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands down, walk or step, or you can hop to the back of the mat. Downward facing dog or table pose. Again, take a few breaths as you come into your down dog or your table. If you're in table, you could take cow and cat. If you're in dog, again, you could pedal. Maybe notice as you're pedaling your feet, what do your knees do? Do they go straight forward and straight back, or is there side to side movement? Ready, find an inhale, come forward to plank. You can take a full push-up or you can do knees, chest, and chin again. Exhale to the floor. Come all the way down, untuck your toes. Press the tops of your feet actively to the mat. Again, it's okay if you feel your kneecaps lift because your quadriceps activate. Hug your elbows in, lift the center of your chest, find your cobra. And you'll notice as you really actively press the tops of your feet down that you can't get super high. It's much harder, that's fine. Exhale to release. Inhale, feet press down and lift up. You can go a little higher if you're able to keep your glutes soft and your feet glued down. Exhale to release. You have one more like that. Lift your belly button away from the floor as you press the tops of your feet down. And release. Relax. Tuck your toes under and come back. Table or downward facing dog. Take a nice deep breath here. And then float your left foot to the sky. Step your left foot up between your hands. Soften a little bit. That thigh stretch on the first side, so we're going to do that thigh stretch on the back side. And you want to relax your right hip a little bit towards the floor. Maybe bring your hands to the inside of the foot. You can take the left foot wider if that makes that more accessible. And it's completely okay to drop the knee to the floor as you relax that hip. You just want to kind of feel the front of your thigh and the inside of your groin here. You can pick what variation lets that happen easily for you in your knee joint. When you're ready, you're going to tuck the toes, lift the hip, lift the knee, and walk again to the long side of your mat. Toes turn to face it, fingertips are underneath the nose. Exhale, relax. Feel the backs of your thighs after all of that hamstring work. This should feel quite nice. Inhale, find that halfway lift. If you want to bring the feet closer, please don't hesitate. Lift the arches of the feet and come all the way up to standing. Roll your shoulders back. Turn your right foot to face towards the long edge of the mat. Line the heel with the arch. Left foot is facing towards the long edge of the mat. Right foot is facing towards the short edge of the mat. Open your arms out to the sides and bend your right knee over your right ankle. Again, lift up your toes. Find that integrity in your legs. When you lift up the toes, it helps to activate the quadriceps on either side. There's 4 of them, but it activates the one on the inside and the one on the outside quite nicely. A lot of us have a much stronger outer than inner quadricep, and this guy right here can be a little weak, and that can cause us to collapse inwards. By lifting the toes, we automatically let this inner quadricep start to work. It can do its job of supporting the knee joint. As you're ready, begin to straighten your right leg a little bit. And again, don't want that perfectly straight locked joint where you start to feel a lot of tension at the back of the knee. You want a little bit of give in that knee joint. Reach your right fingertips forward and fold to a triangle. So be very mindful of where you feel this. Right hand to thigh, to calf. If you tend to put a lot of weight on your leg and you do end up locking out that joint, you start to feel the back of the leg and these muscles here grow a little soft and squashy. Soften the knee a little, maybe bring a prop into play, put a block underneath your hand so you can keep lifting through the arch of the foot. I'm even lifting my toes again. The kneecap stays active and the quadriceps are active here. They're not flaccid. It's a fun word to say. Take another deep breath and then inhale, come back to the center line. Turn the toes to face the long edge. Now we're going straight to the other side. Turn the left foot to face towards the other short edge of the mat. Bend your left knee, come to your warrior two. Start there. Lift your toes. Feel the activity. You can keep your arms out to the side to just get a little shoulder work, or you can bring your hands to your hips here. Feel what happens. Take a little peek. Again, the knee is in the center of the foot. It's not leaning in. It's not leaning out. It's working to be stable. Straighten the front leg. And again, just to the point that you feel that you can still continue to hug the muscles in. You can continue to lift that kneecap and you can continue to feel your quadriceps. You can try just locking the knee out and like letting everything relax, and the quads are quite soft. If you keep the toes lifted, you keep the knee just a little bit soft and you think about hugging all of these muscles inwards, you get a lot more support. Reach your left fingertips and fold. Find your triangle. Again, if you're putting a lot of weight on the leg, use a prop. Then you can put a lot of weight downwards to help hold your upper body. Keep lifting the arch of your left foot. Shrug your shoulders away from your ears. And notice how hard all of these things are when we think about them so much. If you just do it, it seems a little easier. When we think, okay, what's happening? What's my body doing? What are my inner thighs doing right now? They should be hugging inwards. Inhale, come all the way back up. Turn your toes to the long edge of that. One last little bit of activation. Turn your toes out. Heels in. Roll your shoulders back. Lift the center of your chest so you feel like Superman. And then bend your knees. As you bend your knees, take a look. Are your knees still tracking over those center three toes? If your knees are doing something like this or the opposite, adjust the angle of your feet. It's fine if you're a sumo wrestler. You're there. Or if you're a ballerina, you're here. But it should feel natural for the knees to track with the toes. And you just want to find your squat. Roll your shoulders back. Lift the crown of your head. Maybe you can lift your toes here. What do you feel? I feel my hamstrings, backs of the thighs, my quadriceps, a little bit in the glutes, the buttocks. Can you also feel your calves working? And of course, if you lifted the toes, you probably feel the arches of your feet working. As you stay here, you might even notice, oh yeah, you have to activate your abdominal muscles here, because otherwise you're just going to flop forward. It's going to be really uncomfortable. You have to lift the abdominals up and in. If you relax your shoulders and roll them back, this becomes a lot easier. If you need a break, straighten your legs. We're going to go for another 3 breaths if you can. Sweet relief. On the inhale, straighten the legs. Oh, how wonderful. Turn the toes to the long edge of the mat and fold all the way forward. Take a few deep breaths. Feel free to adjust the angle of your feet or the distance between your feet so that as you fold forward, it feels really nice for the backs of your legs. When you're ready, you press your fingertips to the floor. You lift up a little bit. You can heel toe, or if you feel a little frisky tonight, you can press your fingertips down and see if you can hop your feet together. Fold forward as you exhale. And as you inhale, roll yourself all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands in front of your heart. And then walk yourself back to the front of the mat. Inhale, bring your arms up over your head. Press the palms of your hands together. Now imagine finding that plumb line from the tips of your middle fingers. You have to soften your elbows perhaps a little bit so you can imagine stacking your hands right above your head. All the way down through the head, through the shoulder, through the hips, all the way to the floor. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half fold then. As you exhale, plant your hands, step or walk to the back of the mat table or downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, knees up or down. Lower yourself all the way to the floor. When you get there, untuck your toes, shrug your shoulders back, press the tops of your feet down, lift the center of your chest. Find your cobra pose. It's more important than the top of the feet press down. That lifts and activates the quadriceps than that you get super high in this one, that you have a lot of lift. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, go ahead and release. Create a cushion for your head and let it rest on your hands. If you feel a lot of tension in your lower back, you can always lift your hips a little bit and wiggle like a little puppy. Just a little bit excited, mildly interested. As you're ready, you're going to lift the center of your chest and place your elbows underneath your shoulders for Sphinx pose. Feel free to have the palms of the hands on the floor or the palms of the hands towards one another. Lift the center of your chest again. Press the tops of your feet down. Lift your belly button. Take a few deep breaths here. Keep pressing the feet down. Think about now pressing the pinky toe side of the foot towards the floor and just notice what happens. You're spinning your thighs internally. You're rotating them towards the floor. Inhale here. And as you exhale, let go a little bit. You can soften. You can stay propped up on your elbows for this one. You're going to take your left arm across the front of the mat, maybe even a little bit in front of the shoulder to make it more gentle, and fold your right foot in. Maybe you can reach around and hold on to your right foot. We're just doing the same thing we did in standing earlier, the quadricep stretch. But now a little more guided. You can pull the foot towards the buttons. See how that feels. You can even lie down here and make this really therapeutic. If the foot and the hand don't like to connect, feel free to use a strap or a tie over the top of the foot and hold on with the hand. The other thing you can do is if you're quite flexible and it's easy to pull your foot towards your buttons, is to press the foot into the hand, press away, lift the chest a little bit, maybe even lift the thighs. So you're going into a little bit of a half bow pose, getting that active stretch. Take another breath on this side. Go ahead and release. And switch. Right hand comes across the front of the mat. You can stay upright or you can fold a little forward at any point. Grab the left foot. I think I'm on the correct side this time. And again, maybe it feels good to stay up. Maybe it feels good to just let this be really relaxed. You can always use a strap to help you out here if you do tend to have tight quadriceps, tight hips. Also go into that bow variation, pressing the foot away, lifting the thigh a little bit. You can do that with your elbow on the floor. Get a little back bend in there if you want. As you're ready, go ahead and release. Place your feet on the floor. Place your head on the hands and rest. Ready, bring your hands under your shoulders, press yourself back and come to seated. Now, if you can sit on your heels, this is fantastic for stretching out your quadriceps. Again, same thing that we just did on the floor. Some people, this feels quite comfortable. For others, we need to just put a little block between our feet so we can sit just a little bit higher. That's also completely fine. You could put a little cushion there as well. You could be up and elevated. If it feels okay to stay here, again, operative is no pain. If your kneecaps hurt, your tops of your feet hurt, don't stay here. Come and sit cross-legged. All we're going to do is a twist. If you can sit on your knees, that's great. If not, it's better to not hurt yourself at this point. We're practicing for stability, not for our egos. Find the spot where you can realistically stay for the next few breaths. Inhale here. And as you exhale, twist to your right. You bring your hand to the thigh. You bring your other hand behind you. Just take a few deep breaths. Really listen to your body. Know that it is okay to change your position at any time. It's more important that you listen to the smoke alarm. You listen to the signal. You wouldn't sit there and listen to the smoke alarm dinging and bringing and just say, oh no, that doesn't mean anything. It's the same thing with your body. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, twist the other way. You heed that alarm. You think, oh, why is the smoke alarm going off? I should probably stop, burning things on the stovetop or go check out and make sure I know what is happening. When you're ready, come back to the center line. Release yourself from whatever way you are sitting. Take a moment to stretch your legs out in front of you. Sit right in the middle of your mat. You can lean back a little bit and give your legs a wiggle. Give them a little shake. And then we're going to roll all the way down to the floor. We have one last bit of muscle activation and then a couple of stretches. Lift the center of your chest. Reach your arms out as you inhale. If you need to bend your knees to protect your lower back, don't hesitate. And then as you exhale, see if you can roll down to the floor. One vertebrae at a time. Slowly down to the mat. And when you get there, draw the soles of the feet in so the knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. My lower back always feels like there's just so much space here, so I like to lift my hips and slide them down to the end of the mat. Adjust so that when you reach down, you are just about able to touch the heel of each of your feet with your middle finger of their respective hand. And then bring the hands out to the sides. Relax your shoulders. Press all 10 of your toes into the floor, and then imagine that you're trying to draw your mat apart widthwise. So it's like you're pulling those feet to the outer long edges of the mat. Notice what happens in your body. And then press down into your heels and see if you can lift your hips. Keep pulling the mat isometrically apart. Are you pressing down into your big toes and your baby toes? A little bit into those middle 3 toes, but they're not as important here. When we press into the big toe, we activate that innermost quadricep. Press into the little toe, we help keep the activity in the glutes. Spend a few breaths here. Keep drawing the mat apart with your feet. It's as if you're going to tear it and make 2 yoga mats. Inhale. And then on your exhale, slowly release. Take a moment, you might wiggle your toes and relax them a little bit. And then we're going to repeat that. Press the feet down. Relax the shoulders. All 10 of the toes connect to the floor. You draw them out apart and then you lift your hips. So there's lots to think about. When you press the toes down and you draw the feet apart again, you're activating all of the muscles in your thighs to help you lift here. It strengthens the quadriceps that connect. The quadriceps connect into your knee joint and help give it stability. It strengthens the hamstrings, the back of the leg, stabilizes the knee joint. Keep pressing all of your toes down. Lift for one more breath. And then lower. Take a little break, wiggle around. You have just one more here. 10 toes on the mat. Mat is being pulled apart by the feet. Lift the hips. Press into the hands to help you here. Just notice how that feels. Can you feel all of those muscles around your thighs, like 360 degrees of leg working as you press into the toes? You can feel big toe, that's the inner thigh. Little toe, that's the outer hip. Inhale here. Exhale, let go. And just take a moment to rest here in neutral. And then hug your right knee in towards your chest. Just like we did at the beginning of class, you might draw a few circles with it. In one direction, and the other direction. And here you're going to take your right ankle and cross it over the top of your left knee. You can let your right leg just relax a little bit here. And if you feel a lot of stuff in your outer right hip, you stay right here. If you don't feel a lot of stuff, you draw your left knee in towards your chest. Now we're working to stretch our piriformis and our outer right hip. Another reason that our knees can get out of whack is if we have tight, short muscles, especially on the outside of our thigh. We have a lovely band of tissue called the IT band, and when that IT band is pulled on by tight muscles in the hip, it can actually go so far as to offset the kneecap and pull it out to the side, because it's an incredibly powerful band of fiber that has incredibly powerful muscles tugging on it. So when those muscles are tight, it can be a big factor in knee instability. Take another deep breath here, and then drop your left foot to the floor. Extend your right leg up. You're going to again catch behind the thigh, behind the calf, maybe the ankle or the foot, and you draw that leg towards you. And you just notice any difference from how that felt at the beginning of class. Might feel quite a bit more open now. Once you're ready, release that right foot to the floor. Hug the left knee into the chest. Maybe draw a couple of circles. And here you hook the left ankle over the top of the right knee. And again, that might feel like plenty. There's a lot of tension in the hip, you simply stay. If you need a little bit more, you draw the right knee in towards the chest, and you're just targeting the glutes, the buttocks, and the outer left hip. Notice what happens in your knee. You can experiment with flexing the toes of that left foot back towards the knee, like we would do if we were standing on the floor, or pointing. You can do that on your non-active leg, your right leg as well. Notice what you're feeling here. Where do you feel it? Any variation of pigeon is great for stretching the piriformis, the glute muscles, the IT band. This version just happens to be the most gentle to your knee joint. So we're practicing here tonight. When you're ready, you can release that right foot to the floor, extend the left leg up, catch the thigh, the calf, the ankle, and draw the leg towards you. And again, notice if there's any more openness available to you. Notice if the location of the stretch has changed at all. Go ahead and release that left leg to the floor. If it feels good, you could simply extend your arms and your legs to Shavasana. I always feel like after I do length on my back, I like to draw my knees into my chest for a few moments and just release the lower back. You might feel the same. You could take a full Apanasana. We'll be doing lots of half, hugging the knees to the chest. For that, you could hug both knees. You could go towards a happy baby if that feels good in your knee joints. Nice for the inner hips. And if there's any other pose or shape that your body needs, you can always add that in. Before making your way to your most comfortable resting place, your space for Shavasana. Good option tonight, if you like, is to take the legs up the wall or place a pillow or a rolled up blanket underneath your knees as you lie on your back. Honestly, any place where you feel really good, where you feel like you can really relax, is fantastic. And just as we did at the beginning of class, let everything that just happened, all the work that we did, let it go. It is done. This is your chance to assimilate all of the things that we did today. No matter if you think it went well or you struggled, you did your best. That is all that you can do. You have the time, feel free, feel encouraged to stay and rest and assimilate a little longer. If you need to continue with your day, take a deep breath in. And a big sigh out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe turn your head a little side to side. As you're ready, you can roll your body all the way over to one side to rest for a few breaths. Or making your way to your most comfortable seat this evening. a way that feels good to not just your knees, but your whole body. Bring your hands as you're ready in front of your heart. We'll close with our deep breath together. In through nose, out through mouth. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practice and your time with me. Have a wonderful rest of your day.